From the Ohio AgDat Voice You Know at the News You Trust studio, sponsored by Grain Equipment Company, where innovation meets execution, I'm Joel Norwood with today's Ag News. And Ag News takes a back seat to some of that nice rain that we've had across the state over the past 24 hours. And that rain can't come soon enough for pastures across the state, as the latest condition reports from USDA showing Ohio is one of the worst states in the country as far as pasture condition goes. 93% of Ohio's pasture and rangeland considered very poor to poor. Just 5% fair and 2% good, none in the excellent stage. Our neighbors to the south, Kentucky, which is a top 10 beef cow state, has also seen increases in poor pasture conditions from the week before. They've had a 7-point decrease in good to excellent rating at just 27% and a 12-point increase on the very poor to poor side, 44%. How much is our very poor to poor category increase from last week? An astounding 18 points. That's the worst in the country. Other numbers from Crop Progress Report from USDA, 10% of corn harvested for grain across the state. That's 8 points ahead of the normal, and 14% of soybeans harvested, 11 points ahead of the 5-year average. Now they're also reporting crop moisture content. Corn harvested for grain showing 18% moisture on average. That's down from the 21% number of the week before. Soybeans at 10% moisture content. That's 1 point below the week before. Find the entire Crop Progress Report online at ohioagdat.com, thanks to Acura Spray Drones. Elsewhere, the latest cattle and feed report out from USDA, and a lot of questions swirling in the beef market. When will the national herd start to get rebuilt and prices go back a little bit to normal? Gary Crawford on if there's any answers there.
Friday's USDA cattle on feed report offers hardly any clue to that. USDA livestock analyst Shale Shagam says we will probably have to wait a month for the next real clue.
When we get the October 1st inventory number, it will provide us with a breakout of the sex of the animals on feed. So that could provide us with a little indication about whether or not, we're seeing higher proportions of heifers being put on feed, which could give us a little bit of an indication about the retention of heifers for addition to the breeding herd.
Meanwhile, Friday's cattle on feed report shows August placements into feedlots 1% below a year ago, and a September 1st feedlot inventory up 1%. Gary Crawford reporting for the U.S. Department of Agriculture.
Thanks, Gary. DTN reporting that after failed contract negotiations, Grain Workers Local Union 333 in Canada went on strike today, stopping work at 5 grain terminals in Vancouver. The union represents 650 grain workers at terminals in Metro Vancouver, which serve the Vancouver Terminal Elevators Association. The Grain Growers of Canada said in a news release earlier this month that they were deeply concerned about the impending strike at the Port of Vancouver, which would stop all shipments of bulk grain. And though that's quite a few miles away from us Ohio farmers, market's always in a precarious position, and the slightest change can have major impacts, such as farm aid funding. Now, we're told there won't be a government shutdown when the new fiscal year starts next Tuesday, but the latest GOP stopgap funding proposal comes up short for farmers, according to ag organizations. House Speaker Mike Johnson put forth a 3-month bare-bones stopgap continuing budget resolution agreed to by Hill Democrats and President Biden after the defeat of an earlier, more controversial version. The new bill still extends WIC, ag credit insurance, rural housing, and livestock mandatory reporting, but lacks a 1-year farm bill extension and has no rumored temporary farm relief. American Farm Bureau's Emily Buckman.
There is no additional assistance in their direct support, I should say, for farmers and ranchers. You may have seen that last week AFBF and every state farm bureau joined together to sign and send a letter to Congress urging for an updated farm bill alongside economic disaster assistance for farmers and ranchers.
For those optimists out there, they say the new continuing resolution buys more time in this lame duck session to try to settle farm bill differences and do full-year agency spending bills. Still a major uphill climb for a farm bill passage anywhere in the near future. Markets, up next on the Ohio AgDat.
Navigating mental health insurance benefits can be overwhelming, but you don't have to do it alone. The Mental Health Insurance Assistance Office is here to guide you. Our expert team will help you connect with your health insurance plan to understand available behavioral health benefits. Say goodbye to frustration and hello to control over your mental well-being. Call 855 438-6442 today.
Markets on the Ohio AgNet brought to you by Seed Consultants. Simply better performance. Online at seedconsultants.com. New crop corn down 1 3/4 cents after Tuesday's close in Chicago. That's a price of $4.11 3/4 cents per bushel. March 2025 corn contracts down a penny to $4.30 3/4. New crop soybeans 3 cents up to $10.42 1/4. Jan beans up 3 3/4 to $10.60 1/2. And then next July wheat down 3 1/4 to $6.13 3/4 cents per bushel. At the Merc, October live cattle down a nickel to $183.20. December live cattle 58 cents higher to $184.40. October feeders up $1.33 today to $245.80. October hogs closed 18 cents down to $82.13. And milk losing 50 cents in October to a price of $23.29 in Class 3. This is the Ohio AgNet.